Hello, I'm Shakara Weston.
And I'm David Lomas, and we would like to welcome you to Not Her Voice,
Not his voice,
but
our voice, where we want to know what you think and what you have to say about a variety of topics without being stopped or censored.
For example,
relationships, sex, drug abuse, music, politics.
And today we're going to talk about sex. And it's going to get good. It's going to get raw. It's going to might even get a little dirty. But let's get into it. So Shakara, check this out. I was watching TV the other day. There's a show about teen mothers, like moms that are actually like 13, 14 years old.
13 or 14?
13 or 14. I'm sorry. You come home pregnant where I come from, you would have got spanked, not a TV show.
With a switch. Yeah, same here. I mean, really?
Yeah,
13
but
or 14?
I mean, ninth graders now, 8th graders are starting to have sex education classes where they're given condoms. So, I mean, is that right?
I mean, I think it's actually a good idea to at least try to start preparing them for, that type of activity.
Preparing them. I mean, you should inform them of what's going on, of what it entails, but to give them proper materials to practice it?
I mean, I think it's a thing of both, doing both hand in hand. I mean, you give the information, people are going to be, some kids have already gone there. It's like you said, 13, 14-year-olds, that's 8th grade. They're giving 9th graders condoms. So might as well start trying to equip them with what they've already started doing. I'm not saying that they have to encourage them to do it, but along with the information, if there are students who have already begun to partake in the act, might as well equip them with something that's going to help them keep it safe.
I agree. There are some. Like, check it out. Since I was watching the show, I went and Googled some stats about it. 72% of African-American boys say they've already had sex at a young age. 53% of Hispanics say they've already had sex at a young age. 40% of Caucasians say they've had sex at a young age. How do you think that race plays a role in that? Like, what does that have anything to do with?
I mean, I think it has to do with exposure and environment and where people grew up, how their parents are parenting them. Because even me, I looked up a couple of stats as well, and among black teen girls, there are 58% who have already had sex. There are also 45% of Hispanics and white girls that have already had sex. I think the schools that they go to, the different resources that they're exposed to, the different environments in general have to do with how they're going to interact on a sexual level, intimately.
So the African American culture, wherever you grow up, if it's African American, they're going to say it's okay to have sex. As to Caucasians, they said that's taboo still.
Oh, they're not necessarily going to say that. It's just, it kind of goes back into history a little bit with certain schools having certain resources and other schools not, due to segregation and, segregation mostly, but not being exposed to certain things. I think the majority of it is exposure, and I think that sex education gives young people the exposure that they need to figure out what sex actually is, what it entails, the fact that it can be both physical, mental, emotional. It has all of those factors. And if you're not at least trying to prepare some of the kids for that, they're going to get their information from elsewhere, like the media, music, different pop stars and celebrities that, glorify this fast lifestyle, but they don't actually talk about the ways in which you can protect yourself if you decide to do that fast lifestyle.
I agree with the media part. But as far as the schools, okay, so you're saying that schools in the culture or the area for African Americans don't have the money to give out stuff like that, give out that kind of information. So don't you think that, Caucasian schools that do have that knowledge, that resources to give out condoms and stuff like that, don't you think those numbers would be higher for kids who have had sex? Now, media, I get that. That, absolutely. Because if it's not sexy, it's not in. If it's not about sex, nobody's going to pay attention, period. But the school, no. The school has nothing to do with it. The school shouldn't be involved in it.
I still think that the school should, because where are kids 95% of the day? They're at school. And so because they're at school during that time, that's the perfect time to try to expose them to different ways that they can
stay safe.
Yeah.
True, but I don't think that they should be giving out condoms. I mean, teach them, sure. Tell them about the diseases, sure. Why not? Their parents not. Hell, their parent might be too ignorant to understand it themselves.
So what if they go home with a pamphlet
to
and a
teach their
pack of
parent?
condoms?
Exactly. Okay, look, Mom, this is what I learned.
Understand.
And they provided protection. So I'm good. I'm going to start now.
I
mean, honestly,
if they send it home with their parents with the pamphlet and like maybe a bag of condoms or a bag of female condoms, which are available, by the way, small bag, not a big bag.
Small bag, not a big bag. Don't buy in bulk. All right.
Don't buy them in bulk. No.
Got it.
But if they go home with that and possibly show, well, if they show their parents the pamphlet along with everything else, you know, their parent can make the decision of whether they can take it away from them. Okay, you don't need these right now, or.
Okay, well let's be real. Your school gives you a bag of condoms. Who's gonna go home and say, "Look, mommy, look what the school gave me"? It's a gift.
Surprised.
I can teach you now how to use these. No, I guarantee you they say, "I'm gonna hide these until I'm ready to start using them." Mommy and daddy find it one day and say, "It's time to have the talk." Well, it's too late. The school's already had the talk for you.
Well, they can piggyback off what the school might have said. Like, I'm seeing that you were probably, I found these in your room. I'm seeing that you've probably been exposed to something. We need to sit down and chat about this. What do you know about blah, blah, blah? I really think that it would open the door to conversation for the parent. Now, I'm not saying that every parent is going to want to have this conversation with their kids. A lot of them are probably going to be very uncomfortable, but
avoid
it opens, yes, avoid it, but it's going to open the door to at least have that conversation. I think that the more young people are exposed to what sex actually is, what it can entail, and it's treated in a responsible way, I don't think that you'll have so many people either afraid to try something or going out there saying, well, I'm just going to do it because it's wrong and it's taboo and ooh. It doesn't really become this big, it doesn't become as big of a thing if people openly talk about it and openly discuss what it is, what it entails.
It's not very taboo anymore.
No.
I mean, you no longer get a spanking for coming home pregnant. You get a TV show.
You do, 16 and pregnant.
Exactly. That's why it's like, it's kind of hard, I guess, for a parent to say, don't do that because, well, why not? 15-year-old on TV, and she's getting paid. Mommy, I could buy you a house. Let me get pregnant.
It still comes back to parents and their responsibilities. Like parents being parents and being responsible, even if the school does give sex education and gives the information, pamphlets, condoms, what have you. At the end of the day, it's going to be, it's a joint effort. It's a joint effort of the school and the parents to make sure that the children are getting proper information, proper exposure to certain things. And at the end of the day, if they're going to choose to do it, most likely they're going to do it. They're going to find a way to either do it behind their parents' back, in their parents' bed, wherever. But if they're going to do it, at least they can be properly informed.
And that's supposed to make parents just be okay with it?
If they're not okay with it, they can talk to their
school.
You know, they can talk to the school, they can talk to their kids. You know, I still think it's a joint effort in coming to a common ground on what's going to be best for the child as far as exposure and what to do in those situations.
All right. Well, I guess we both kind of have different standpoints on some of the information, like whether or not it should be given out and when it should be given out.
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. You're watching Our Voice.
take, making every promise empty, pointing every finger at me, waiting like a stocking brother, blew upon her fingers rest, glitter now the path of must we, just because the sun has come. Jesus, why won't you whistle something bad the past has done? Jesus, why won't you whistle something bad the past has done? Why can't we not be sober? Just want to stop this over. Why can't we drink forever? Just want to stop this. Oh, I am just a worthless liar, I am just an imbecile. I will only complicate you, trust in me and fall as well. I will find a center in you, I will chew it up and leave. I will work to elevate you, just enough to bring you down. Mother Mary, won't you whisper something by the past is dead? Mother Mary, won't you whisper something by the past is done? Why can't we not be sober? Just want to stop this over. Why can't we drink forever? Just want to stop this. Oh,
I faced one of the toughest challenges of my life right here. I couldn't swim. but I can still hear my drill instructor today.
Don't quit. If you quit now, you'll always quit in life. Go for it.
So I jumped in, unsure, apprehensive, and scared out of my mind. But I came up a Marine.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Our Voice, and let's check in on Rebecca.
So, does anyone know anyone that's been sexually abused or themselves?
And actually, I do. It was my past girlfriend of 2 years, but it was one of those conversations that you just try to avoid, but at some point in time, you just can't avoid it anymore because that's just how that person acts. And you got to understand that from her past, that's just how she acts, how she acts in that present time. So it's going to come up, so you understand that person more as a person rather than just a name. So, I mean, it's a pretty hard conversation to talk about, but you just got to know how to understand. Anybody else?
Yeah, I do. Quite a few people actually. Like you said, it's not something they typically tend to want to talk about, but when you get close to a person, they actually want to, relate to you and want you to understand who they are. And it is kind of awkward, but you just got to be there for them when they do choose to come out to you about stuff like that. And it happens quite a bit, more than you would think, because there's quite a few people that will tell me things like that.
Yeah, 1 out of every 3 women has been sexually abused at some point within their life. So a lot of women are walking around, and men, not to even exclude them, but a lot of people are walking around with that burden, and that's really what it is. It's a burden, and that's why it always comes down to, let's always treat each other with kindness and grace, because you never know how bad someone is hurting, and that hurt. It's one of the deepest hurts I've ever seen. It cuts so deep, because sex, and we can say, it can be commercialized and used for profit, all that people want to do to it, but sex is something that is special, and special to your soul, and when someone rips that from you, they take a part of you, and it's so hard. I've just seen it, so hard for people to find who they are without that part of them. And it's such a sadness that comes with it. It breaks my heart.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. You're watching Our Voice.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Welcome back to Our Voice. You're here with LaToya, and my guest here is Sylvia Aquino. We look forward to speaking with her. We're going to talk to her a little bit about her personal experience with sex, that same word we've been talking about all day, and how it affected her and how she's moved through her life dealing with some personal issues. So Sylvia, tell us, how did you first encounter having sex?
Well, when I was 6 years old, I was molested by my mother's ex-husband for 4 years till 9 years old. From there, I was 10, and I got into my first relationship. A relationship lasted up to a 6 to 7 year process. I was sexually active from that age on up because of the things that I had went through. Looking for love in similar of most of the wrong places, and trying to get over the fact of how it happened to me. Before I was in that relationship, like right before that, I guess I was going through I want to say more of like a bisexual experience, probably experimenting with it. And so I moved into that one.
So you said when you were 10 years old, you had your first actual sexual relationship after being molested at 6?
Yes.
So what kind of relationship was that? Most people, they don't understand what a relationship could be like when you're only 10 having sex. So what was that like?
Well, in my mind, it was a relationship, but when I got older, I realized I was looking for comfort. I was looking for somebody protective, not having a father, having a stepfather who, molested me. It threw me off. So when I met up with him, and though I was young, I felt a little better. I felt a little safer. I felt like I finally found somebody. Not only was he a, boyfriend, he was similar to a father, to a brother, a cousin. He was just like everything, even a friend. He was only 3 years older than me, so.
So did you tell anyone about this relationship, or was it a secret?
It was a secret until I was probably about 11, 12, and my mother found out, but by that time, there's really nothing that she was able to do, because at the time that I was molested, she was hardly there for me. So anything she said, it wouldn't faze me at all.
Right. So from that relationship with a guy, who basically took advantage of your innocence after such a horrible situation, how did that affect you going into your adolescent years?
It affected me a lot. I had a problem with sex, but I kind of got into it. I kind of got a little too deep into it, to the point where it's an addiction. Being manipulated, excuse me, and forced to do things, getting into my sexual experiences, it was really clingy to me, because I felt like I had that comfort. It was just like, everything was open. It was like, I'm cool with it. I don't really have a problem. It got to a point where I liked it. Not saying I liked it at that time, but because I was young and I didn't know what was going on, and what he was doing to me was making me feel good in weird places, but I didn't like it.
Right.
That's how it kind of escalated with that.
So were you still living with your parents, or, how did these events take place? Like, where were you? How does a, 10, 12, 13-year-old, get around to having sex with someone that's older than them or manipulating them?
Well, my mother she was a good mother, but she was hardly, there. She was going through her own issues. Mm-hmm. It was easy for me to sneak out the house, and even if I got caught, I'd probably run off. Not to mention that the contact between her and him and my little brothers and sisters were still there. So I had a grudge of a little bit of hate inside of me.
Towards your mother?
Towards my mother,
okay.
Her ex-husband, and anybody else, that I told but would never help me.
Right, so you had a feeling of distrust of people who were supposed to be there to protect you,
right,
basically. So how has that affected you going into your adult years? Like, tell us a little bit more about your story.
Well, from there, when I was 14, I was raped, and then at 18, I was raped again, for the simple fact that I was in the streets a lot. I chasing money because of that addiction. I was trying to find peace and comfort. Still, again, it's like I never found it. You know, it's like it was never there. It's a piece of me that was taken, and I can't get it back. You know, always thinking back, and you know, when I meet people, I try to like help change them because I don't want them to go through that. Not being able to, you know, actually be in a relationship at an older age and be able to, you know, give my virginity to the man that I marry, you know, it's kind of like it like haunted me, you know, like I'm never gonna have a good life, I'm never gonna have a relationship, somebody to love me, you know, I'm always gonna be used. And so because that was in my mind, it's more of me using myself after that. You know, so at the beginning it was other people's fault, but near the end it was my fault because I was looking for this stuff.
So you blame yourself in some way for, you know, how these circumstances happen to you?
I don't blame myself, but I blame my actions for the rest of it. Because at that point, you know, I'm old enough to know what's wrong from right, and I was still lost and was just, you know, out there, you know, more than I am now. So it's kind of like I'm trying to basically, you know, figure out a way to get away from it, but I can't get away from it, you know, because of that addiction. And then after, you know, I would have sex, I would want to probably, you know, smoke something, you know, just to calm my nerves and ease me down because I didn't like the fact that I did it, but because I needed it at that time. That love that, you know, that I thought was love, it just, you know, it kind of, you know, it ruined a lot. So I would go and I'd smoke something and it would calm me down again. But then right after that, because I was addicted, I'd go for it again.
How did you transfer that emotion into moving towards a positive direction when you had a lot of distrust for people and people, you said one of your friends even, you got involved almost in sex trafficking?
Yes. At this point, I was 19 years old. I was in New York. I was supposed to get a ride to Miami, Florida. They ended up taking me. I thought I was going to Miami, Florida. We ended up in Virginia, and the tire got flat. And he said, I'm gonna have to ride in the back of the van. When they opened the van, there was 9 African bull mastiffs. They pushed me in the back of the van because I said I didn't want to go back there. It was really dirty. And they pushed me and they forced me back there. And then from there, I was in a gated, it was like a building that was gated. And I couldn't go nowhere.
Wow. So how did you get out of that situation?
I got out of that situation. I had to lie to this lady and tell her I was 25 and my name was Maria. But at that time, I wasn't 25 and my name wasn't Maria. I was finally able to get her alone and speak to her privately and cry to her and tell her my situation, that I needed help. She ended up telling him that it was wrong to have me dirty like that. She went and bought me clothes. She finally took me to the house, and then I think it was probably after maybe 2 weeks of finally being inside of a house and not locked up someplace, they got drunk one night and she helped me escape.
Wow.
Through the basement window.
So when you look at the media and, you know, entertainment, music, television, how do you think that influenced the people who, you know, did these things to you, and then your own decisions as an adolescent, having dealt with your traumatic past with sex?
I mean, it's X-rated and it turns you out, but everybody knows that sex sells. And it's very, very, very overrated to me. It puts a lot of our, you know, young adults into a different mind state, and let alone that they're already feeling like, you know, I'm old enough, I'm ready to be out there, I can do this. And you're really not, because when you get out there and you think that you can do it, you know, there comes a point where you get pushed out of a car going 70 miles an hour, you know, and you're putting yourself through life or death situations.
I think a lot of people are going to think your situation is, you know, far off to the right. It's on the far extreme, so I can have sex, that won't happen to me. You know, you had that situation occur to you, but that's not the general population. So, you know, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, you might be right, it might not happen to you, but then again, you got to look on the other side of the fence because the day that you think something might not happen to you, it will. You know, you have movies out here like for colored girls and kids, and you know, we're out here passing around STDs, passing around AIDS. You think you could trust somebody, you think you could love them, you probably just met them, you know, and this is how our music revolves around it. You know, you meet them, oh yeah, bust her down, and then next thing you know, everybody's catching something, everybody's passing something, something's happening to somebody. Somebody's getting murdered or somebody's getting raped behind it. I don't want to say that it's the way you dress that, you know, will get you into that situation, because it's not. I mean, I was in my pajamas when I was molested. So it's not that, but maybe the way that you might carry yourself behind it, places that you go, you know, maybe you should think twice, you know, when you see some things to, you know, get out of there and move out the way. If you feel a certain vibe against somebody, you know, just try to get away from them, but never think that it will not happen to you. Right. Never think that, because I did, and it happened to me.
So you mentioned a little bit about how you were using sex for money. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, I started escorting when I was 13, 14 years old because of my addiction. Some men did know my age, some men didn't know my age. Some cared, some didn't care. It helped me out a lot because I was able to relieve so much stress, because I felt like, okay, this is what you guys want. You know, I'm going to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also going to get something to me, or what I thought was something being given to me, you know, which was like, you know, a little bit of comfort, maybe a little bit of love, you know, somebody that'll hold me, somebody that cares. To me, it wasn't, okay, he's paying for me, he doesn't care, because that's how I was thinking at that time. When I got older, I was so turned out, it got to the point where I became part of the game. And now I'm so...
What does that mean when you say you became part of the game? Like,
part of the game as far as, you know, I'm getting older, I become more seductive, I become more cunning and clever inside of it. And it's something that, because it is an addiction, especially for someone like me, even if I was probably to make it as a celebrity, I probably would still do it because of what happened to me. He never got locked up for it. It's something that haunts me. So, you know, no matter how probably somebody would want to help me change my life, it's probably not going to be changed unless I allow it. I'm feeling like maybe I'm ready to, but I'm also not ready to because of that addiction. Every time I feel like I'm ready to, you know, let go of it, as soon as I go through a depressive mode, I'm ready to just, you know, go make some money, you know, because that's what's going to make me happy at that moment. But nothing, it never really makes me happy.
So you don't think you'll be able to have trust? Like, what is your views on love and trusting other, you know, men?
I believe in love and I believe in trust, but I think that if that would ever happen for me, it would take somebody that would actually take time and understand where I'm coming from. You know, to actually see who I really am. Inside, I'm still that, excuse me. Inside,
It's okay.
I'm still that 6-year-old girl, you know? So that's just, you know, that's basically it.
Sylvia, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. That was a wonderful thing that you did, to have the courage and share your experience with sex and how it's impacted your life. And I know that a lot of young people are going to be impacted as well. And I know it's going to be for a positive change, that other people see, you know, that sex is not just, you know, something you do between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's a real issue. It affects a lot of people in serious ways. Thank you for doing that. Everyone, if you would please give Sylvia a round of applause for her courage to tell her story. You're watching Our Voice, and we'll be back in just one moment.
welcome back. You're watching Our Voice. Now let's check in on Maya.
All right, there's something I want to know. Is anyone here waiting for marriage?
I'm trying to wait until marriage, but it's not gonna be like, I'm gonna hold out. I'm trying to hold out like as long as I possibly can, but if it does happen, I'm not gonna just like shun myself and go sit in the corner or something, but I'm trying to wait until marriage. Kind of about religion, but more as like a personal thing. Like just as me to know that I can do it. I did it. So yeah.
Well, temptation took me over.
Yeah, you see, she was older than me, and yeah, I just got peer pressure into it. So yeah, I didn't wait, and I don't plan on waiting.
Okay. Well, I want people to know that there are options. Like you definitely have a great amount of options. Like waiting for marriage is not for everybody, and we are sexual beings. Like from the moment we come into the world, and also it's just a matter of what's right for you at the time, your maturity level, and how much you can handle. So I just want people to know their options. Contraception is something that is important, and it's one thing that's available. Like abstinence is great, but there's also that,
Yeah. Well, does anyone feel it'd be hard to wait for marriage? Because you were saying about your religion, your personal thing, like you're trying to. So do you think it'd be hard?
Yeah, it is hard because like the media has nothing but sex. Like that's all that you see. It's what you're surrounded by. So it's hard because everyone's like tempting you on. Like he said, he had peer pressure. There's peer pressure, the media, and so many things that draw you to it. So it's kind of like you have to fight against that current. So it's a very hard thing.
But see, this is my thing. Okay, people say wait for marriage and stuff like that, but it's like, how do you know the cow is good if you never tried the milk?
Oh, the milk. The milk.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, as someone who's waiting for marriage, okay, so my husband, I always say, is going to be a very, very lucky man, mostly because he's going to have however many years of pent-up sexual frustration unleashed and raring to go. So, I mean, it's that, but you can teach somebody those things. Like, it's not
boring. It's going to get boring after the time, though, right?
So personally, I feel that waiting for marriage is a good idea. I mean, David next to me was saying that, waiting it would make it boring during marriage and everything like that. But that would mean that every couple that's married right now is having a boring sex life, which that isn't true. But for me, I do feel like I'm going to wait during marriage. And through all the boyfriends that I may have or may not have, I'm going to, make that known to them that I am going to wait and, respect that or, kind of leave. But that's how I feel about it.
It's a matter of first of all, a marriage, not just on a sexual point, but you have to put in the work for a marriage, and that goes in the physical, emotional, spiritual even. Like, you get in what you put out. So if you're willing to work for it, then you don't have somebody that's willing to get lazy on you, then I don't think you have anything to worry about.
I call it just training in time. That's what I'm doing.
So you have a...
Wait, what do you call it doing?
I call it, I'm just training for the, like the Olympics.
The sexual Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you stretch for that?
Live it like this, you do it like that, and just,
okay.
Take it like that.
Do that last one again, Okay, alrighty.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. You're watching Our Voice.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Our Voice. Let's check in on Brandy.
Okay guys, so how does your religion influence your abilities to engage in sexual activity?
I believe it's on how you raised, like, how your family is and how they see that point. And I mean, if your family is a strong believer in their religion, of course, they're gonna teach that to you as you grow up and stuff.
But then again, what goes back to the person changing their mind later on, once they grow up.
It comes down to practice what you preach.
Okay. And how do you feel?
I mean, honestly, myself, well, I was raised to be to wait till marriage, but as soon as I hit it was 15 years old, my mom's asking me if it ever happens, let me know. So I mean, what happened to wait until you're married? Now it's, if it happens, you have to let me know now. So I mean, it's really people teach them early, it's religion, but once they see the teenage years, they're I mean, I just want to know what's going on in your life, and they accept the fact that you're gonna have sex instead of preach now to you that you're supposed to be married before you have sex and all that. So I mean, religion is there when you're young, but it's really not there once you get older.
Okay, so honestly, I believe if you have a certain religion that tells you that you need to wait till marriage or you need to have it now or whatever your religion is, you should go for it if that's what you believe in. I personally, I don't have a religion that I really stick to, but if that's what you think, then you should do it. You should go for it. Don't listen to what other people think because they're going to judge you either way.
What you said made me think of something. An argument I've heard a lot is that people got married a lot earlier back in biblical times. And so do you think that has anything to do with why maybe certain people may find it acceptable? Because back then they didn't have to wait maybe 25 years for marriage, maybe 16, who knows, So what do you guys think about that?
Definitely, it was back then, it was way more acceptable than it is now, for sure.
Now I think it's just a lot more open.
A lot more open. So you think the younger crowd, okay, let's say, do you think it should be legal for 16-year-olds to be engaging in sexual activities?
No, personally, I say no, because at that point you're still, some people say 16 to 17 is a huge difference, but yeah, that 1 year will make a big difference in your maturity and in the decisions that you make when you grow up.
If you allow, let's say if you say it's 18 years old, right? A 17-year-old is going to be okay, I'm fine. If you say a 16-year-old can do it, then 15-year-old is going to be I'm only a year away. How can I do it? The more you lower the age, the year before that, 2 years before, they're going to say, well, I'm just this time away, so why can I do it now? So, I mean, the higher you put it, you're still going to have younger ones, but you won't have the 15-year-old saying, well, I'll be 3 years. He's going to have to wait a little while longer.
So you feel like each generation it would get younger and younger and younger?
Definitely.
16-year-olds having sex, I believe if you're on a different maturity level and that's the one, then go for it. I mean, I personally haven't found anyone or anything, so I wouldn't be able to speak on that. But if you feel like it's your time, then you go for it.
I heard that. 15 will get you 20, 16 will get you 10. You know what I mean? There has to be a limit somewhere.
Definitely.
I say 17 is a good age.
17? Why 17?
That's just personally in my opinion. You're right at the age of being 18, so I would say why not cut it off at that age and not being younger. So I mean,
You feel as there is more maturity and...
Because you've seen a lot more going through, I guess, how everything was going through high school. When you're about to get out, you're a year away from being a senior, or so it's. I can't.
I feel like it all has to do with the maturity level of the person, but I think 18, where it is a really good place because that's the age that you can vote, you can smoke. If you can make those decisions about your life, I feel like then we might as well. That's where it should be.
I agree with that.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. You're watching Our Voice.
This is Titan 1-4. No signs of life.
Titan
hold your position.
What do you got?
Unmanned aircraft is identifying enemy sniper.
Copy that. Let's move. Thanks, Reaper 1-1. We got it from here. Sensors coming off target.
Learn more at airforce.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Our Voice. Let's check in on Linda.
Okay, so what do y'all think about oral sex? Do you consider still being a virgin if you have oral sex?
No,
Why?
because it is still a sexual encounter.
I mean, it has sex in the name, so.
Well, I have friends that are still virgins, but they have done oral sex. And personally, I believe that you're still a virgin if you do have oral sex.
I say no because you can still get STDs and stuff from oral sex. People think that even though you're not penetrating or doing anything else, that you can't get STDs from having oral sex. So I think you can still get oral STDs from having oral sex. So yeah, it's considered sex.
Okay, and what about you?
I agree. Any type of sexual act, I consider it to be sex, exactly what it is.
I believe it have to be intercourse. And it has been girls who are virgins that confided in me and asked me questions about that and was very self-conscious about that. So I just believe that, you know, they're still a virgin even though they committed the act. No, it's not right, but they have committed an act and they've learned from it. But yeah, I still believe that they are. So that's how I feel about it.
Do y'all think that, like, people still attach emotion, even if they don't have penetration, but they have the oral sex? Do they still attach emotion to those things? Or is it just completely different? Because that could be an argument why it's not sex, per se.
I think men don't attach feelings.
Those men.
Yeah.
And their feelings.
I think that they just see it as, oh, I can get head from any female, whatever. I think females, on the other hand, we're more emotional creatures, so we can get attached from having a conversation online with a guy.
If you sneeze on me, I'm going to be attached.
There are some women that aren't as emotional.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
So there's not always any emotional attachment coming from the female.
So
But do you think a woman could really have sex and absolutely have no emotion attached? Like, I've heard girls say that.
Yes.
I just don't believe it.
Yes, it does not have to
It's
be.
possible.
It is
Okay.
possible.
As long as it's understood between the two parties that, you know, this is strictly, I'm going to get mine, you get yours, it is what it is.
A conversation before, like, hey, look,
Yeah.
it's not what that is.
Yeah, just
Going on that, what about masturbation? How do you feel about that? Is that sex? Does that count?
I say no.
Stumped ya! Stumped ya!
I say no because you're satisfying yourself and no one else is satisfying you, I guess.
Okay. I mean, is there a, like,
It's kind of difficult because, you know, let's say you want to abstain from having sex. You may not be a virgin anymore, and you want to abstain from having sex, so you use toys. You know, you dildo.
and then, like, you
know
can't
what
ask that
toys
same
are.
question,
You
like
know what the toys are.
you can't have feelings for an inanimate
Right,
object.
there are no feelings involved with using a toy. So it's kind of.
But you still physical attached.
It's kind of iffy. You attached to a toy.
If you,
Ew!
It's still a physical thing. It's still a physical thing, though.
What do you use?
I know I don't use anything.
Oh my God!
Let's not go there.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. You're watching Our Voice.
There's strong, and then there's Army strong. See what it's like at GoArmy.com.
guys, welcome back. You're watching Our Voice. Now let's check in on Carter.
All right, so quick question. Has anyone ever pressured or been pressured into having sex with someone?
My first time was, not gonna lie, she was pretty nasty, and you know everybody. First of all, when you're young, you know you're gonna get teased about it, especially if you're a virgin. And I was in 9th grade, so all my friends done, and it was like, this nigga, he ain't nobody. He's, you know, you're a lame basically. So this girl, she was a little experienced, and she wanted to help me gain some more experience.
Yeah, I got you.
So she did that.
So, do y'all feel like a lot of it has to do with other people around you doing it? And then I feel like, I've experienced a lot of that, but I think a lot of people are lying. And especially once I've got to college and I've talked to guys, like, they were like, yeah, I lied about it until I actually did it. I lied.
When you're younger, you want to fit in. Like, it's human nature to want to fit in the crowd. We all want to belong. I don't care how much person, I like being. You want to be a bunch of loners.
Yeah.
You want to be a bunch of party people. Everybody wants to be a part of something. So when people say, I did it, people start lying.
You're lying.
You know, and you can't tell who's lying because you weren't there in that place. And that, you know.
It's not always true. I know I didn't lie.
Yeah.
I mean, high school, I was a virgin, so my homeboy did, you a square because you ain't had sex and I did it before you and blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, that's cool, fine, I don't care. You can talk all you want. But I didn't really feel like I was being pressured or I was just trying to fit in to that specific group, the sex group, I guess it is. But it's not for everybody, though. My opinion, I honestly don't think anybody can be pressured into having sex. It is what it is.
It takes something more to do something more with your time.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not always like a group of people you trying to be a part of this group. It's mostly your friends. Like me personally, at the time, I was in 9th grade. It was my best friend, so he was like, you hanging with me. Nah, but he a virgin. He a virgin. He try to clown me all the time and stuff like that. But like I said, it depends on age thing. Like as we got older, I think we can all agree now. It's like it's not a big deal. It's something that we probably should have waited on. For those who did wait,
thanks. What? I've been pressured. Like every boyfriend I've had has pressured me, but not like you better do this or we're gonna break up. It's just like they really want to do it, but they're guys. Like of course they really want to do it, but.
What's your definition and viewpoint of safe sex?
Latex.
Safe sex is important sex.
I feel like it shouldn't be any other type of sex except for marriage sex and safe sex. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna have sex.
Did you say marriage sex?
Marriage sex is when you don't need the rubber.
What if you don't want to have a kid?
That's what the pills are for. We could
wait. Okay. You just said
they had that. What's that little ring thing they put up in there?
What if they already have a sexually transmitted disease?
How is it that you don't? I want to know because you just said that. When you're married, you don't need to have safe sex. That's what you're saying.
When I say
you said that. Let's keep them honest.
Let me
keep it real and keep it moving.
I said it. Let me elaborate on it. Let me do that.
I'll let you elaborate.
Can I elaborate on it?
Elaborate.
Now, when you married, the sex it doesn't have to be as safe because if I'm married to you, I should be able to trust you as far as I won't catch an STD. I shouldn't catch. The only thing that should happen. The only thing that should happen is you get a baby. Now, marriage isn't pure. It isn't perfect.
Okay.
Married people, you can either strap up or not. That's on y'all. That's your opinion. That's on you. You can strap up, boom, boom, no disease, no baby. You may not trust them just yet. I can feel that. Or if you don't, you ready for a kid, or at least you know that they don't have a disease and you're not going to get nothing.
Marriage, first of all, is a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion.
People cheat.
It is a punishment in most countries.
People are lying ass, just people. So you wouldn't go and have safe sex with your wife because you trust her and you guys are married. You guys got this paper with your names on it. But she's out, being a floozy.
People say marriage.
But you're not going to hit it with a rubber, though, because that's wifey.
First thing you said is marriage, and you think this paper. Marriage is more than just paper. It's supposed to be a spiritual, like this is supposed to be us. It's supposed to be a bond. This ring don't mean nothing. This paper, this judge, none of them mean nothing. Really, at the end, marriage is supposed to be the person that you can end with. Like it's us against the world.
I agree with both of you in the sense that yes, I think marriage should be a bond that means something. But I also know that in 2012, hey girl, I also know that in 2012 it doesn't mean that much. And not saying just 2012 because just from biology, we are going to continue to be attracted to other people. And some people are better at controlling themselves than others. And it's just because you say you're married doesn't change that. Denzel is fine, that Morris Chestnut is fine, that, Channing Tatum is the sexiest man alive.
Okay, at least they all dark skinned.
Idris Elba. Now, Idris Elba. That is a man. That is a man.
We're not about to talk about Idris.
Really?
Mr.
We're not
Elba.
all of them. None of them.
Just put that.
Anybody else?
Either way, safe sex should be practiced, in my opinion, anytime.
I think if you're married, you should get checked regularly.
Exactly.
I believe you should get checked regularly regardless.
Yeah, of course.
Okay? But my thing was, I'm saying if I'm not in a relationship with this person, I'm gonna go the extra mile. Then I'm gonna get out my car and take 2 more steps for that, because I don't know your past. I don't know who you're dealing with while you're dealing with me. So I feel like, yeah, okay, when we're not together, yeah, this safe sex thing I should take it to an all-time high.
And let's put this out there.
What's the difference between you being together though?
If I'm married to you, like if I get on my knee and ask a woman to marry me, it's more than just me chilling with her.
That.
So it's a
But
deep
why
connection.
is it that the rules of safe sex get real relaxed once a commitment?
And it shouldn't be, guys. But the bottom line is diseases are real, little babies are real. In this conversation, yeah,
diapers are expensive.
So I think we hit all the good points. We know what we got to get on what's going on.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. Be sure to tune in next time,
where our voice is your voice.
Raw and uncut.